Hi, how are you tonight? Thank you so much for joining me, and I apologize and will certainly understand if some of you have missed me live because I had to run an errand, and I didn't think I'd be back before 8 o'clock, and I actually kind of just barely made it back home. All right, there we are. So I thought I was going to run this errand in the morning, and then it turned out I really needed to do it tonight. So, because what I was bringing there needed to be there first thing in the morning, and I wasn't sure I could make it there first thing. And I never know when somebody says first thing, whether they mean like 6 o'clock or whether they mean 10 o'clock. We all have different ideas about what first thing means, right? So anyway, I'm just clearing the decks a little bit here. Today we're going to be looking at the new set. I think I've already forgotten what the stamp set's called. Simply Zinnia. And already just playing with it a little bit today, I found that there were so many different things that I could do with it. So this will very likely be the first of a series of videos, maybe not all right in a row, but the first of quite a few looks at this set because it's just gorgeous. Just gorgeous. And the designer series paper, I'm already thinking I should have ordered 2 packs right off the bat. Usually I kind of wait and see how much I like it in person, and I had a feeling this was going to be one of those, and now I'm very sure that it is one of those, or should be one of those. All right, I also thought I was going to have to use my iPad tonight, so I set up everything differently. My computer battery is shot. And I thought that didn't matter as long as it was plugged in, it would be fine, but it's giving me all these warnings about low battery mode even when it's plugged in, and maybe that's just something that it does, but I just wanted to make sure, and it seems to be okay. So anyway, I will stop talking, turn the camera down, and we will get going. I warn you about this all the time, but you just might see a little clutter off to the sides here. I've got no, not almost. I've got every single stamp in the stamp set out here in front of me because I was playing with all of them. Okay, we will turn the camera down. And there we go. Hi, Amy. How are you tonight? Again, I still have to ask somebody else what this means. I'm getting this thing that says, Amy's watching, bring her on camera. And since you're not here, I just have no idea exactly what that means. But as I've said before, I'm pretty sure whoever those people are, they don't want to be brought on camera with me. All right, hang on. Oh, oops. Hang on. Little tripod error there. Good grief. All right, I just want to bring it in closer. And then I figured out there was one more adjustment that I could make that I wasn't messing with, so that I could bring it closer, but then still angle it the way I wanted it angled. I don't know if that makes sense to you, but I think I've got it figured out so it makes sense to me. All right, and we're just going to say that that's as good as it's going to get for now. I think I mentioned quite a while back that I was thinking of moving my whole craft room into a loft area down the hall, but I've got this new cat, and he's more than just a little adventurous and interested in everything. He's figured out how to open kitchen cupboards, and he's really something. So I don't see, it's an open area, there's no door, it's an open loft, so I just do not see how I could have a craft room there without fear of him doing God knows what in there. And there's just no way to keep him out. A baby gate wouldn't work because he can jump quite beautifully from one place to another. So I think that idea is going to have to go on hold until he matures a little bit, or I figure out some other way to keep him out besides, locking him up in a room someplace. But I can't lock him up all the time, just when I'm doing my Facebook Live maybe. Anyway, so welcome. I am Roberta Colosino, and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator here in upstate New York in the Finger Lakes region. This is the month of June. I can't believe it, but it is, and this is my host code for the month of June. If you place an order in the month of June, use that host code unless your order is over $150 before tax and shipping. Then do not use that host code because you will earn some rewards for yourself. Okay, let's see if I can sort of leave that partially showing, but not in my way. All right, that looks good. Also, just announced a couple of days ago, Stampin' Up! Is offering a 10% discount on all stamp and die bundles. So that does not include the bundles that come with a stamp set and a punch. It's just the ones that come with a stamp set and dies, like the one we're going to be using today. When you buy a stamp set and a die in what's called a bundle, and it has to be offered in a bundle, you get the stamp set and the die, and you get a 10% discount. So this special is actually offering an additional 10%, which means it would be 20% off on those bundles. And the die bundles are typically more expensive than the punch bundles, so this is really a good deal. That being said, also, if you are a demonstrator, and I just had someone recently sign up, if you're a demonstrator, you start out immediately after you get your starter kit getting a 20% discount. So if you were to become a demonstrator during this period that the die bundles are on sale, aside from getting your demonstrator starter kit, you could then use your demonstrator discount to get these at, it would be a total of 40% off, because as a demonstrator you still get the same discounts and the same sales that everybody else gets. So you would get a regular 10% plus the 10% for the sale, plus your 20% as a demonstrator. So that is why a lot of people do sign up to be demonstrators as what's called a discount shopper or a hobby demonstrator. Nobody expects them to sell things necessarily. Sometimes they're just their own best customers. Nobody expects them to do classes or Facebook Lives or anything like that. So seriously consider it. I promise you, no one will bug you. I will offer you as much or as little help as you want. And if I'm sending you an email about something, and you say, I'm just not interested, stop sending me emails, that's it. That's the end of it. And I don't send a bunch of emails out anyway. So, and this is my monthly daily creative prompts calendar. And this was posted probably on the 1st of June, I'm guessing. And it's got some things in it, and it's kind of got some special things. If you take a little look-see, you might find something interesting. So I just wanted to remind you of that. It's posted, and it's also up at the top as a, what is the word they use for that? Not highlighted, featured, as a featured item. Okay, so this is the Simply Zinnia stamp set. No, wrong dies. Hang on. Oh, what did I do? Oh, here we go. This is I did buy the whole suite, and I think, I can't remember if there was one. No, I guess not, because I bought the suite. This is the Simply Zinnia stamp set, and these are the dies. So take a look, because you are going to notice that there are 7 dies, or 7 stamps, oh my gosh, but there are 15 dies. So there is a die that cuts out this image here. There is a die that cuts out this single flower here. And there is a die that cuts out these double leaves. All of these other things are additional dies that there are no stamps for. So if this were a punch, I would call it a builder punch. But instead, and this is not what Stampin' Up! Calls it, but I'm just calling it that, these dies allow you to build your own 3-dimensional flowers. And we definitely won't have enough time to get into that tonight, which is why I said we'd need another night just to explore the dies. Tonight we're going to explore the Designer Series paper, and we're going to explore the stamps. They never fit back in the same place they came out of. It's really crazy. Okay, that was probably over those. Yeah, and wait, there's more. There is the Zinnia 3D embossing folder. So I'm just going to hold that up to the camera, see if you can see that. Okay, I think you get the idea. And if you've ever used an embossing folder before, you certainly know what this is. A 3D embossing folder is one that embosses even more deeply. So there's that. And then, but wait, there's more. There are these absolutely adorable, lovely colored gems. They're called adhesive-backed shiny sequins. And they are shiny, but they're almost like a little opalescent as well. And they feature some of the colors in this suite. And then there's the paper. And the paper is just gorgeous. I like zinnias, I like flowers in general, but this paper, oh my gosh. So there's this one here, and really the lighting and the camera is just not doing this justice. So that's what we call the A side or the front. And then this side would be the back, so it's just a bunch of pumpkin pie stars. This side, we're going to use one of these today, is the side that our scrapbookers like a lot, although card makers like it as well, because you can cut it right down the middle and make yourself 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 card fronts if you chose, or you might have to do it differently. You could fussy cut just this part around and make it a scrapbook layout that would be so nice with pictures in it. And then on the back we've got a lemon lime twist pattern. This one's just a bunch of little tiny zinnias. And on the back we've got another pattern. This is petal pink polka dots. Stampin' Up! Is really big on their alliteration. They love their alliteration. This one really looks almost like a tone-on-tone DIY DSP. So this is what I'm assuming is Melon Mambo on Melon Mambo. So they just stamped, and it's all monochromatic, monotone. So that is very pretty. Melon Mambo is one of my favorite colors. And on the back we have more, I think it's Melon Mambo. It might be Real Red though, because that is one of the colors in here too. And that's just kind of a little, I don't know what you want to call them, little plus signs and little dots. Just a neutral pattern. And then here we've got some, and this has all three of the green colors. It has the Mossy Meadow, the Old Olive, and the Lemon Lime Twist. It just looks like vines. And on the back we've got, I think, just the Lemon Lime Twist and the Old Olive in a striped pattern. So very good for cards where you just don't want to send somebody a bunch of flowers. Then you've got more zinnias, but this time on a white background. And then the flip side of that is Highland Heather. And it's just kind of, I call that a crosshatch. You can't really call it checks, so I just call it a crosshatch pattern. If somebody else knows a proper name for it, by all means, let me know. So there are so many colors in here, though. There's Berry Burst, Blackberry Bliss, Flirty Flamingo, Highland Heather, Lemon Lime Twist, Lemon Lolly, Melon Mambo, Mossy Meadow, Old Olive, Petal Pink, Pumpkin Pie, and Real Red. So this is like just a blast of color. And my thought was that it was like a blast of spring. So I just got out a bunch of stuff today and started playing. So I did take out a Melon Mambo piece of cardstock, Blackberry Bliss, which I haven't used in probably a year. I think I was in Florida last year. Oh gosh, it might have even been the year before, when there was a designer series paper pack that had some Blackberry Bliss in it, and I just love that color. And then Lemon Lime Twist. And I didn't even look at my color coach, but I actually thought these might work well together. So I did that. And then I started stamping. So let me get these things out of the way for now. Don't let me forget to use those gems. And I did, oh, hang on, I did do a little bit of embossing with the 3D embossing folder. And you could certainly use it as plain white. There we go. Okay, plain white as a background perhaps, and then put some very colorful flowers on top of it. I did one that was a little bit larger, and I thought maybe we could have some fun using our blending brushes and some of these colors. So I've got those as well. And then I just started doing some stamping. Let me set those things aside for now. I could not find my basic beige stamp pad anywhere, so I did pull out the retired Sahara Sand, because I just couldn't find the basic beige anywhere. But that's what I would use as a no-line watercolor paper, or no-line watercolor color for a technique for coloring, and then having it look like there really weren't any lines there. It's still kind of dark. I might have decided it might be a good idea to stamp off once. So I thought these could be colored certainly with the watercolor pencils. It could be colored using your inks as watercolor, but this is not watercolor paper, so you'd have to be pretty careful. You could use the watercolor pencils with the blender pens. You could certainly use the Stampin' Write markers. You could use the Stampin' Blends. Or, and this was the other thing I thought, maybe just make each flower one solid color and use your blending brushes. So all kinds of possibilities for coloring those, including the blending brushes for those of us who don't like to color. And there are some of us out there that don't like to color. And then I did a couple of the leaves, and then one of the dies that there is no stamp for is a die that does this stem. So I cut out 3 or 4, maybe just 3 of the stems, so that we'd have those if we chose to use them. But then I also took a scrap of something, Melon Mambo I thought it was, and I stamped one flower on that. Oh, here we go. I lied. It wasn't Melon Mambo at all. It was Petal Pink. And I stamped a flower on that. So then you could die cut this and have a pink flower, and you just didn't have to color it at all because it's already colored. You could use black for one of the darker colors. Like if you were going to use Blackberry Bliss, you'd almost have to use black, or possibly even emboss it. Maybe even in white or just in black, but that way it would be shiny. So like I said, so many possibilities. I just can't even tell you. And I like the sentiments in this stamp set as well. But one of the things I noticed, so there is one that says sending flowers and thinking of you, which again I thought is great because you could say that on the outside, but inside could say happy birthday or even sympathy, because it could certainly, that sentiment could lead into almost anything. Thank you so much. I like the size of this one. Words fail to express my gratitude, but I thought this would make such a happy birthday card, so I started looking through my sets to get out a birthday stamp, and I found one in the Beach Day stamp set, a cursive happy birthday, and I kind of liked that font. So I grabbed that as well because I thought, this would just make such a pretty birthday card. I wish they had put a birthday sentiment on it, and I wish they had put a really bold birthday gratitude or birthday sentiment like this word gratitude. Wow. Okay. So I got out those colors, but I also started to get out some card bases in white. Oh, this is what I did too. I stamped on this one also using, like I said, instead of the basic beige, I used the Sahara Sand because I couldn't find the basic beige. I'm sure it's here somewhere. Oh, it's probably downstairs in my carry-on bag or carry bag, whatever you want to call it, that I take to classes, because I brought it to the last class and I didn't take all the colors out. So I thought this could be just an amazing card. That needs to be cut a little bit. It's a little wonky. If you wanted to keep it super, super simple, this could just be a card where you stamp on the flower, maybe color the flower, and then perhaps put a ribbon on it, put a sentiment on it, and call it done. Just let it be white and simplistic. So I did that one because sometimes it's really okay to just leave things basic. And if we were to use, no, I didn't bring my mini cutter up. So I've been working on my kitchen counter, on my kitchen island, on a project for Laurel House, which some of you may have heard me talk about. Laurel House is a charity thrift store here in Newark, charity resale shop. We don't like to use the word thrift because we're pretty classy. So we're not the Salvation Army. No offense to the Salvation Army, but we're not like a Salvation Army store. So I've been making Father's Day jars, jars for Father's Day, like a dad's treat jar. That's what I'm trying to say. So I've been doing that on the kitchen counter, which has been more than a challenge because, again, this new little kitten jumps on the counter, I'm not exaggerating, probably 20 or 30 times in a 1 hour period that I'm working there. And he just wants to explore things. He's not doing any damage, at least not yet. He just kind of likes to explore. So I'm taking that gratitude sentiment, and I think that I would put that right across here. I'm going to tell you that I just realized too that my colored pencils are elsewhere as well. I think they are still in my tote. And I don't know what would happen if you just left this uncolored. I think I would like it better though if I was going to leave it uncolored if I stamped it in black. But I don't know, I could be wrong. So that's just kind of an idea, and then maybe I would put a bow, you know how I love my linen thread. So that's just to show you that really completely plain and simple is sometimes just fine. So I won't go ahead and make that one. So then I thought, what if we used, because Blackberry Bliss is like it's a in-your-face kind of color. So sometimes I don't like to use that where you're going to see a ton of it. I just like to use it when you're going to see some of it. So I'm going to score it at 4 1/4. And then I'm going to cut it in half at 5 1/2. Oh, wait, I'm not lined up because those stamps are in my way. Line it up and cut it in half at 5 1/2. Okay, so I'm going to use this for my card base because when we make a few layers, this won't be showing quite so much. And then I'm going to, so we're kind of going to go dark to light. From the bottom up, dark to light. From the top down, light to dark. All right, and I'm going to make this layer for, let me see, how do I want to do this? Right, and I'll save that for something else. 4 by 5 1/4, and that's going to be another layer. And then my next layer is going to be the lemon lime twist. Well, Amy, don't worry, I couldn't do it if I wanted to because I don't have a clue how to do it. I don't even know what that means. I keep meaning to look it up, but again, I don't really think anybody would care to do that. Okay, so we have 4 by 5 1/4, so the next layer size down, if you're going down by like 1/4 of an inch, would be 3 3/4 by 5. Okay, and then I still think that I'm going to want a white layer, I think. Hang on, I'm fishing for white. Okay. So then if I went smaller from that, if I went down another, maybe I won't go down as much though. So maybe I will do, instead of 3 3/4, instead of going down to 3 1/2, I'm going to go down to 3 and, what would that be? 3 5/8. 3 5/8. I have to tell you that crafting has helped my math ability, especially when it comes to measuring and fractions. Okay, so instead of 5, 3 5, so it'll be 4 7/8. Now that could be entirely wrong, but it sounds right to me. So let's take a look and see what we've got. So we've got our Blackberry Bliss card base. Blackberry Bliss was always one of my favorite colors, and so was Rich Razzleberry, and that retired with the latest color update. So I'm glad they left this one alone. Okay, so there's our card base. Then Melon Mambo is our next layer, and that looks just like I wanted it to look. Then Lemon Lime Twist, and then white. And so what I did was I made it so that these borders are a little bit wider, and then this one is a little bit narrower. Now that bugs some people because they think they should be even, but sometimes I think you get a better look doing this. Sometimes I even like cutting it way down. Let's say we were skipping the Melon Mambo layer and having a big difference here, maybe because I like this color a lot, so I want more of it to show, and then less of a layer here, or the other way around. You know what? There are no rules. I've been saying this for how many years now? There are no rules. So you do what makes you happy. You do what looks good to you. We all have different eyes. You know, some things are going to look good to me that don't look good to you, and that's okay. You might be saying to yourself right now, note to self, don't ever mix those 3 colors together, and that's okay. So the other thing I've been working on is that my daughter-in-law agreed to help out a friend by doing some of her wedding decor. So she's doing table centerpieces, and she's doing her bouquet because she did not want live flowers. And she was asked me to do the table numbers. And then, of course, she came over here the other night with like 3 huge totes, which my son carried into the house, with all of her stuff in it. So it's a nautical theme, and there's always some discussion about the definition of words. So in my book, and apparently in the dictionary as well, nautical means having to do with boats, ships, sailing, etc. And her friend had her doing some centerpieces with, things like starfish and seashells and stuff like that, which to me is an ocean theme. So I told her to kind of clarify, but she said after she talked to her friend loves lighthouses, and we do have a retired stamp set with lighthouses, and she likes ships things, so she likes anchors and those kinds of things. So it turned out that nautical to her friend really just meant anything having to do with the water or the ocean, which is fine because that made my life a lot easier. So we worked on that, and I've been keeping busy with that as well. And now she's thinking, my daughter-in-law is thinking, that this might be like a fun thing to do as a kind of a little side business, because she's got a full-time job that she's very happy with, but maybe as kind of a side thing. So now we've got this same stamp that I used on this previous card, and I'm thinking that I want to stamp this again using a kind of a neutral color. I'm going to try, let's see, I just need a piece of scrap paper. So we're going to try using using the Sahara sand again, and I'm kind of stuck with that because I can't find my basic beige, so excuse me because it is retired. I'd even thought about maybe doing it in petal pink just because petal pink is so light, but that makes me a little nervous because it might be too pink. Alright, so when I have a stamp that's kind of large like this one is, I tend to take my stamp pad to the stamp instead of the other way around. And that way I can be sure that I'm getting ink on the entire thing. So the reason I wanted scrap paper, because I want to see what the first generation stamp looks like. So that means full strength, and what a second generation looks like. And that's almost too light, so I'm deciding against that. Okay, that's what I wanted to check. I also don't know, since this pad's retired and it's been put away for a while, it's possible it's kind of dry. So maybe if it were inked up really well, it would be okay. But we'll go with this. I think it'll be fine. Just giving it time for the ink to soak in, because I think that's important. Okay, we got a little spot here where it didn't stamp so well, but since we're going to color it in anyway, I think that will be okay. Alright, so since I don't have my colored pencils, I will use my blends. And let's see, we said that Berry Burst was one of the colors in here. So I have Berry Burst. We said Old Olive was one of the colors. Let's see. Oh, that's Granny Green. Granny Apple Green. Old Olive, okay. And what were some of the other colors? Because there was no yellow, was there? There was no yellow in there at all. Let's see, what else have we got here? No, there is no yellow. Flirty Flamingo, Highland Heather. I'm saying this because I do not have a Blackberry Bliss blend, and I don't think I have a Melon Mambo blend. So let's see what I do have that we can use here. I'm pretty sure I have Flirty Flamingo. Oh no, that's pretty in pink. I'm surprised they didn't use Pretty in Pink. Sorry for the noise. I got them all in one of those like Rubbermaid drawer sets. I like to keep them in something, I wouldn't call it airtight, but just something that a lot of air isn't going to get. Okay, so there's Flirty Flamingo. And while I was there, I accidentally grabbed Highland Heather. So that gives me 3 flower colors, but they're kind of similar. And I know I don't have Melon Mambo. I'm very sure I don't. I don't know, what's this? No, that's Real Red. I guess I could use Real Red. And what's this? I bet this is... Oh, that's a retired color. That's Sweet Sorbet. For what these cost, I just refuse to stop using them just because they're retired. I hope you understand. Okay, oh, and you know what? We do have pumpkin pie, so maybe I'll grab that because I don't want these 3 flowers to look too similar because it's like I'm thinking of it as a bunch of zinnias that somebody cut, you know what I'm saying? So it's not zinnias that are growing out of the ground. Somebody cut them and they're going to bring them in the house and put them in a vase. All right, and I'm going to take some lemon lime twist too. I posted something in the group about scrapbooking, so I don't know how many of you know this. I haven't talked about it a lot because sometimes I don't like to talk about something before it's happened. It just seems like, you know, maybe you just shouldn't say too much. It's public, it's not a secret. So the company called Close to My Heart recently closed its doors. I think June 1st was their last day. They went out of business, and that was kind of sad. They were a good company. Certainly they were a competitor to Stampin' Up, but they sort of had different niches, and so I don't know how much trouble they caused each other, if you know what I mean. All right, so I just did a little highlighting there with the dark, and I know that looks like a lot, but we're going to take the bullet tip end of the light, the light, this color, Old Olive, and use that to kind of blend around. If you go in a circular motion, you blend those lines out a little bit so they're not so obvious. Anyway, so apparently when this company knew they were going out of business, they had some type of a relationship with the owners of Stampin' Up, you know, because they're all in the same field. And I don't know who reached out to whom. I don't have all of that inside information, but a decision was made that Stampin' Up would first of all accept their demonstrators, they were called makers, into the Stampin' Up family, so many of them have come over to Stampin' Up as demonstrators. They also decided that they would purchase some of their products, and they've actually had some of their products on sale on our website for only Close to My Heart customers and makers to purchase before they, you know, until they were gone, until they sold out, so that they could get some of their favorite products from that company until they were gone. So we as Stampin' Up demonstrators were not allowed to buy them. At one point, Stampin' Up did a lot of scrapbooking stuff. They had a partnership with, oh gosh, what's it called? Well, it'll come to me. They had a partnership with a big scrapbooking company, and a lot of our products were from there. We had their albums, and we had some of their dies, and a lot of our products, you know, coordinated with some of their products. So, and of course, like I said, the name is just not coming to me, but it will. It will. So, long story short, Stampin' Up is going to go kind of back into a little bit more with scrapbooking. And I had done a few videos early on in my time as a Stampin' Up demonstrator about scrapbooking, but the majority of my customers, no offense to you, Amy, because I know you're a big scrapbooker, but the majority of my customers really wanted to make cards, and they told me they were not into scrapbooking. They were, you know, older people, and either they had already done all the scrapbooking they intended to do, or it was just too late to start, you know, because they already had 5,000 pictures in boxes or whatever. So Stampin' Up just kind of, it just seemed like it wasn't going to be their thing, so they got out of that. Project Life, that's who it was that they worked with, Project Life. And now they're looking at getting back into it. And I think they've got some type of an agreement with Close to My Heart. I don't know, this is the part I'm not clear on, if they actually bought some of their products and they may be coming out in a future catalog or in the next catalog. We have a mini catalog coming out in July. Or if they bought the rights to certain things, like the copyright rights to certain things that were copyrighted by that company. I don't know, and I don't know how that works. But what I'm trying to say is that I enjoy scrapbooking, and Amy will tell you I do very little of it, even at scrapbooking crops that I go to. I sit and I chat and I work on cards and do other things. I work on my journals, and it's pretty rare to see me scrapbooking. I scrapbooked my trip to Ireland at several crops. It took me like a couple of years to get that done. And then I started doing some stuff for my kids, and I don't stick with it. So I thought if I made it a part of my business, then I would kind of be forced to stick with it. Okay, so I'm not thrilled with the way that looks, not going to lie. I just think the dark was a little too much. I think the brush tip had been flattened out a little bit and it was too wide. So what I'm going to do now, though, is I'm going to take my lemon lime twist, and I'm going to take the light lemon lime twist, and I'm just going to kind of go over all of it with the bullet tip, maybe not the stems, and just see if I can add a little of that tone to it to lighten it up. So anyway, I put out something here in the group asking, are there any scrapbookers out there? And, would there be interest in a scrapbooking crop in the area? And I shared it to a couple of the local Newark, Wayne County area groups to see. My team and I are looking at the possibility of holding a crop. Not sure at this point if we're talking about a one-day thing. I'm thinking for our first one, it would be a one-day thing, but I thought maybe I'd get 10 replies, 15 replies. Either people didn't see it, because that's always an issue with Facebook, because you never know who's really seeing your stuff, even when you make it public, or there just really aren't any scrapbookers out there, or in this area. Maybe I should say that. I mean, I know there are scrapbookers. So I don't know. So I'm kind of, we don't know where to go next with this. So I'm hoping that there'll be some interest. Maybe we just need to post an event, but then I need to make sure that people see that too, because they just don't seem to always see things. So I was thinking for up in the very center of the flowers. So these are zinnias. And you know what I didn't do that I always do before I start to play with a new stamp set? If it involves an animal or anything kind of real, as opposed, oh my gosh, more tornadoes. Sorry, I just looked at my, my iPad, and the first thing I saw was something from the Weather Channel about more tornadoes. We've had very few tornadoes in this area. Sometimes they refuse to even call them tornadoes. They call them microbursts. And certainly nothing in the way of damage like what you see happening in the Midwest and in places like Kansas and Arkansas. And sometimes I just wonder why anybody lives there. No offense to people who live there, sorry. Okay, so I looked up zinnias on my iPad, and I'm trying to bring up just images. And what I'm seeing is that even if the zinnia is pink, very often the center is either a darker pink, and then deeper into the center, there might actually be a little bit of yellow or a little bit of orange. So like I said, they didn't put yellow as one of the coordinate. Amazon, I don't want to see Amazon. I don't want to buy zinnias. I just want to look at them. Oh my goodness. Amazon, Amazon, Amazon. Everything's Amazon. I didn't click on shopping. I clicked on zinnias. All right, let's see. I'm just looking for a bigger picture. But anyway. There we go. A little bit. Okay, there we go. So, like, look at this one. This one's pink. That definitely looks melon mambo-ish. But then those little things that look like stars going around the center right here are bright yellow. So I'm thinking, I don't care what the DSP says, I might need to get out a yellow marker. So we can use some different colors on the inside. So I do that because I want it to be realistic. Now, zinnias seem to come in every color in the world, but let's just say zinnias were red. and I wanted to make a purple zinnia, well, then I would make a purple zinnia. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't let that kind of stuff bother me. If it says that that's really not a color that thing comes in, I mean, it's just like making a purple elephant, right? If we want to make purple elephants, we'll make purple elephants. I'm looking for Daffodil Delight, and I'm not seeing it. Okay, well, you know what? We will take Lemon Lolly. So let's take the Berry Burst. And I think I'm going to use my bullet tip end, and I think I'm going to start with the dark. No, I'm going to start with the light, just the opposite. I'm going to start with the light, and then I'll add the dark where and if I think it's needed, because I don't want these to be too dark. And, I mean, even the light, as you can see, is pretty darn light. Okay, I'm not going to worry about coloring too fancy here. I'm just going to kind of make little circular movements. And I may not finish this card, just so you know, because it would take a long time to color this and have it look halfway decent. So I just may not finish. I'm going to stay away from the center right now until I can get those other colors in. So now, because I used the light color for the outline, I really can't see the outline too well anymore, and I guess that's okay, because real flowers don't have an outline, but they might have some air between them or something that lets you see the petals, where they start and where they end. I know it probably would not be possible to do with the blends, but I would absolutely love to see like some markers from us in like a micro tip, like the micron pencils, if anybody's familiar with those, or pens. I love those things, you know, something with like a 005 tip or something. You could just do so much more detail with them. Although some of you might not want to do that much detail, I understand. Yeah, I'm not even sure that I'm going to use the dark at all. I have kind of another idea in mind. I don't always show you about the color lifter, but it can be used not just to correct mistakes, but to actually add highlights. So I'm thinking instead of adding dark shadows, maybe I should add some lighter highlights. I will admit that I have not quite perfected the use of the color lifter, but I'm getting there. Okay, so now I'm going to take the light pumpkin pie, and I'm just going to kind of dot, because there are shapes there, but you know what, I can't see them, and you sure can't see them. So I don't think I need to worry about trying to color in like individual stars. I think that might just make me mad. I don't mean angry mad, I mean crazy mad. Mad like a hatter. And then I think I'll take the dark Lemon Lolly, and go in the center there. Okay, and now I'm thinking that if I want some real contrast, I probably should have used the dark pumpkin pie, because I really want to see orange. So I'm going to go back and do a little more little lines and little dotting and make that deeper. Okay, so isn't that pretty? I really like that. So like I said, I don't feel a need to do all of this right now. I can actually color it once it's put together if I choose, because if it soaks through, it doesn't matter. It's not going to soak through 3 layers, not at all. And you know, if using my micron pens like the black ones, I might also almost like to outline that a little bit in the black. Maybe I'll play around with that, I'm not sure. But like I said, sometimes I kind of get off on tangents with other things. So as you can see, the blends do soak through. So you do want to do this, make sure you do this on a surface that you're not too worried about. Put some scrap paper underneath. Don't do this on grandma's white tablecloth, you know, that kind of thing. Okay, sorry for that scratchy sound. That's the only disadvantage to those fine tip glue pens, is that they do make some noise. Okay, So obviously it's a little hard to tell how that's going to look, but I think it's very pretty. And this might be my birthday card, so I think that would make a nice birthday card. Hello. This is a nice scrap of paper, so I'm going to save that. I'm all about the scraps. As long as I can still stamp something on them, I save them. I do not save minuscule little pieces. My children would accuse me of that, but I do not. That looks a little wonky. Let's see. It is a little wonky. It must have slipped a little when I put the arm down. Okay. That's better. And then we'll just take a touch off of there. Oh yeah, that time I saw it move. It's hard to hang on to it when it's something small. And then a little bit here. Well, we don't want to put it on upside down, and I'm thinking, let's see, almost any one of these would be okay. But I'm thinking I want to put a little backing on this. So one of the things that I do if I'm doing that is instead of trying to cut it and instead of bothering to measure, because I have no idea how long that is, there was an oops on the back. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue it in a corner. And because our paper is so good, such a good quality and so thick, that oops, which was a very dark, bad oops, does not show through the paper. And that's what I love about our paper and what it makes it stand out from other papers. So now that's on there. And now what I can do is bring my trimmer back in. And trim it down. I just like having a little something behind a white sentiment. It could be a ribbon, it could be just a strip of paper like this, it could be something going all the way across, it could be a skinny strip, it could be whatever you want. So we're going to get that on here, and now we have a very pretty birthday card. And I would probably stamp maybe like on the inside the single zinnia flower with a couple of leaves behind it, and then leave the rest of the space for writing. And then we're going to cover up the fact that those, the zinnias look like they're just sort of hanging out in space. Okay, so there you go. And like I said, that's a color combination not everybody might have gone for, but I really like it. And I'm thinking of maybe doing orange for the next one. And then to get away from the super bright, maybe orange up here and Highland Heather there. I think I would like that. So we'll try that, and I will post a picture maybe tomorrow. I hope sometime tomorrow. I never know what I'm really going to get to, so I hate to make promises. Okay, so next, let's take a look at the DSP again, because we have this one, and I haven't checked it out yet, but I think, excuse me, I think that one die, might cut out one of these flowers, although I'm not positive. I have not looked into that yet. The only problem with doing that is then I feel like you're wasting a piece of paper when you could have just stamped it and cut it. So I'm going to take this sheet here, the one that is definitely meant for cutting in half. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to cut it in half. So please, if you're watching this video on the replay, as I'm sure many of you will, so it's 12, so 6 inches is half. If you have any interest in scrapbooking, if you think that you would attend a scrapbooking crop in this area, so we're thinking Newark or Clifton Springs possibly, there's a possible location there of interest to us. Okay, let's see, 4. Actually, I'm going to go, no, let's go 4. 4, and then if I want it to be, that wasn't 4. That was 4 1/4. That was not 4. Okay. So this could be used on the other side, possibly on the inside of the card, so I'm not going to get rid of that. So 4 by 5 1/4. And I don't want to cut off the white because I like the fact that that sort of looks like the sky. So we're going to go 4 by 5 1/4 and just cut some off the bottom, which I don't think will matter as much. And then this could also be used on the inside of the card depending on which way the card is going. So there you have a card front, and it's like, it's done. It's just done. You don't need to do a darn thing else, it's done. Now what would be kind of fun to do, and I'm hoping it's not all out, we were out of Wink of Stella for the longest time, then they came back in and people went crazy and bought like all of them. So I think we're out of them again, or at least the last time I looked we were out of them again. So the Wink of Stella is a glitter pen. There's it's not exactly ink, I don't know what you call it, some kind of a medium with glitter in it, and you can brush it on. It's so hard I can't even tell if it's coming out, because I just thought it would be really pretty to add some glitter. And I had 2 of these left, and I think they were both like almost empty now. Someone tells me that you can, I'm just going to be full of little tips tonight, that you can open this up, and I don't think I've already done this, and you could add a couple of drops, and I really should have a pipette for this. Do I have a pipette here? You know what a pipette is? You probably used them in science experiments when you were in high school. I just know I have one here somewhere, but the big question is where. Oh, okay. Maybe not. It'll turn up, but not tonight. All right, so if I wanted to get a little bit of alcohol in here, let me, because I'm probably going to make a mess, and I don't know if this will even work. I'm going to try to kind of shoot some alcohol in here. A lot of it's coming out, but I'm hoping some of it is also going in. Don't know for a fact if any went in. So the idea is you can put in a little alcohol, not a bunch. You're using alcohol because it dries quickly. And then you're going to shake it up, and if there's any left that's still salvageable on the inside of the barrel, maybe you can get enough out so that you can use it. So let me just try it on something. I've got a piece of black paper here. Okay, so I am getting something coming out, and there is some sparkle in it. It's not a ton of sparkle though, but it's coming out. So I'm just going to do a little bit of that. It's certainly not going to be as dramatic as it would be with a brand new Wink of Stella pen, and I guess I'm just going to have to get some new ones as soon as I can. Oh, no, I'm seeing it. I think I just have to keep squeezing it. And maybe I could have used a little more alcohol. Maybe I won't do them all. I'll just do a couple of these pink ones, because I probably don't have enough to do them all anyway. And then if I find another one somewhere that's working a little bit better, excuse me, I'll go back and do a little bit more. All right, and then we need to choose a card base. So let's see, last time we used the Blackberry Bliss, right? So this is the Melon Mambo, and I think this was one that I cut a piece off of, so it needs to be 4 1/4, and it's 4 1/2, so I need to cut it down a little bit. And then I need to score it in the middle at 5 1/2. Score, not cut. So the light brown one, or the gray one, is the scoring blade, and the dark brown one is the cutting blade. And every once in a while, I get them mixed up. Okay. And now this this can get put right on there, and that's it. I mean, certainly we can add a sentiment, we could add some other things. I could, if I wanted to, although I don't know if this would be the answer, but I could take one of these and pop it up on here. But honestly, I'm not sure that I would like the way that looks. So I think that I am really okay with this just being like this. And so for people who are not big into stamping but like to make pretty cards, aside from our no stamp kits, which are great for people who aren't into stamping, you can use designer series paper to do most of the work for you and just stamp a sentiment. And if you're using our no stamp kits, the sentiments are already stamped for you. And we're coming out with 2 new ones on July 1st, I think it is. And we're going to come out with 2 new kits now every month. The difference between the kits and other products is that when they're gone, they're gone. So they're considered like an online exclusive. So some of them have been around forever, and they just keep getting new ones, maybe because they're so popular. Others may just disappear at a certain point, and so if you want them, don't think about it too long. If you see one you like, you might want to get it while you can. So that is just so pretty. And let's see, I stamped a couple of other sentiments. This Sending Flowers and Thinking of You. Again, I thought that was a really good one because it could be a birthday card, it could be a sympathy card. So you notice I'm not using dies or punches tonight for my sentiments. That wasn't like a deliberate thing. I just realized that I didn't give it any thought because I pre-stamped them and I just kind of put them in my little dish here. And so that's kind of what's happening tonight. That's all. And I can just do like a little banner thing here. Oops, that's cutting it close. And, I kind of forgot one other thing I wanted to do. So my dimensionals are just like, I don't even know what happened to them. They're just in the land of the lost. But I do have my foam adhesive strips, and I think I did this one other time when my dimensionals were missing in action. I have no, I mean, they're in a case too, so I do not get where they got to, but they got to someplace. So I'm just going to pull a couple of these out. And I think I already cut one down. I'm going to get some of my Teflon scissors. I'm just going to make a cut like that because I'll probably need to use these again. And I'm just going to pull off a strip like this. And put the sticky side down. Oh, maybe I'm going to need to. Put the sticky side down. Come on. And then peel off the backing paper. Whoops. Alright, so these are flexible. So you saw how I just bent that so that it didn't run into the other one? And that's why these are really, really good for shaker cards. I know, I keep saying I'm going to do a shaker card. It's just not my thing. Not that I don't like them. I don't know if I want to just put it right there where there's already white. I kind of like it down there too. Yeah, I think I like it down here better. And the other thing you can do if the white bothers you is that you could get a small blending brush and some balmy blue ink and just super lightly just color this in a little bit and make it look like blue sky. I would maybe avoid back here because I don't know how you could do that without coloring the flowers a little bit, but you probably could. And so the other thing that I wanted to do with another card, just because I thought it was cute, there's a stamp in there that has a bunch of little stars, kind of like the center of some of the flowers. And I just thought it might be kind of cute to get out the Lemon Lolly ink, which is very, very light. And usually I would not stamp once I had assembled a card, so I could potentially I could mess it all up, just ruin it all. I'm looking for a piece of scrapbook. I'm always looking for scrap paper, not scrapbook. I've got scrapbook on the brain now. Anyway, talk to your friends, see if anybody's interested in scrapbooking. We'd love to do a little something. Like I said, probably just a 1 day to start with. If I want to go double strength, or no, that's too late. Okay. Oh, so I wanted to show you something else, another little tip. So you see what happened there when I stamped, how I got that dark line there? What I noticed when I unpacked this stamp set and started mounting the images on the back of them is that a lot of them had a extra unusually wide border around them. And so I got my scissors. I do not use my snips for this. I use a pair of scissors that I've had for many, many years. They're by Tim Holtz, and he has a large pair and a small pair, and sometimes in the catalogs or online you can't tell. Make sure you get the small ones. They cut through the rubber really well. I would never use these again for paper because I've kind of ruined them by using them for other things. And what I do is I take the stamp, and when I notice that it seems to have a lot of area around the edge of the stamp that could leave a mark like that if I rocked the stamp even a little bit, is I take these scissors. I'm going to stand up so I can do this and have you see it. I take these scissors and I very carefully, and I watch what I'm doing because I accidentally cut the, I think it was the F off of Father's Day one year. It wasn't good. I cut a little bit of it off. I watch what I'm doing so I'm not cutting into anything I don't want to be cutting into. And I just make a narrow cut because I can always go back and take off more, but if you take off too much, you're kind of screwed. And I just take off. You see the angle that I'm holding the scissors at? I'm facing it in because what you don't want to do is you don't want to cut off any of the spongy stuff. Because if you cut off the spongy stuff and make that too narrow, your stamp won't stamp properly. It will be like it'll tilt. I'm not quite sure how to explain that, but it won't be good. So what I've done is I've just made that a little bit narrower now. Yes, you can see more of the white stuff, the foam, but that's okay. And now I'm hoping that when I stamp again, I won't get that mess. So I've taken off that much, not a lot, and I'm careful only to take off that and not any of the white foam. Okay, I hope that makes sense. And sometimes the stamp set comes and it's perfect and you don't have to do that at all. And sometimes it just seems to need it. And I'm sure that it's because these stamps are made by a process where you pour the rubber in. It's like a mold. And sometimes I guess it just comes out a little bit thicker than other times. Just be glad that you're not a Stampin' Up! Person from 20 years ago when we used to have to cut all of our stamps. They came like all in one piece and you had to cut them out. Okay, I just touched down there where I didn't want to touch. Oh, there's another piece of that. I just wanted to stamp a few of these around. I just thought they'd be kind of cute. And then maybe I will do stamping off there, and then stamping here, and maybe stamping off there. And here full strength, and here half strength. I don't know, just adds a little something. Maybe you like it, maybe you don't, but that's what I wanted to do and I forgot. So I'm adding that to that card. Okay, and I didn't even do anything with the embossing folder yet, but we honestly don't have time for that tonight. So don't worry, I'll be back with this stamp set. I don't know if I'll do it like 2 weeks in a row or what I'll do, but I can just see so much possibility with this whole suite that I just feel like I need to keep going with it. All right, so here are 3 cards from tonight. I haven't done the insides, but I will do that when I show them. And then just real quick, I thought I would show you the things for the wedding are downstairs, and I don't have them ready yet. But this was a little project that I've worked on. So you've heard me talk about Angel's Attic, right? So Angel's Attic, I said, is a charity resale shop here in Newark that benefits Laurel House. And for Mother's Day, they made up, and I had nothing to do with this, they took teacups because they had a lot of teacups that had been donated, and they put little succulents in them and sold those for Mother's Day, and they were a hot item. They sold out in no time. So I offered to make candy jars for Dad, because we used to do that with my students, and the fathers really appreciated it. I don't know if the fathers got to eat all the candy themselves or if the kids did, but whatever. So the jars are from the dollar store. These I've never seen before. They're iridescent. They're kind of cool. And they have a copper top. So I stamped Treat Yourself and Happy Father's Day. Unfortunately, I believe both of these are retired. And then I used I didn't use that one because I didn't have that one yet, but I used another stamp that had little splotches. I used the letters from, I think it's the recently retired, whatever that set is called, Eclectic something or other, the big big pack of paper, and some of them had letters that looked like typewriter keys. I used those, and then a very, very old retired set that I stamped and cut out those banners, and some twine. So sorry, not a lot of current product there. Well, actually no current product. And some baker's twine, and then put about 25 pieces of candy in each jar, but also put some, what do you call that stuff? Shred that I got at the Dollar Tree also, that just has some different colors just to kind of make it kind of festive. And then I've got Father's Day cards that they'll be selling that I'm donating to them, and Father's Day gift card holders. And then after that comes graduation, so I'll have graduation cards there for sale too that I'm donating to them. And what's the other thing? What else is coming up? Father's Day, graduation, oh, and teacher gift cards, and possibly teacher, I think they're going to do the teacher succulents. Someone donated some little tiny flower pots that look like, that have an apple design on them. They look like flower pots, I'm not sure what they really are, but anyway, they have an apple design. So they're going to do the succulents for the teachers too. And I'm going to do cards and gift card holders. Okay, so there we are. There you have it. So thank you very much for watching, and again, sorry for being late, and I hope that you catch me on the replay. Once again, think about scrapbooking. If you or anyone you know might be interested and you don't think this is too far to come, let me know. And Amy, I might be picking your brain at some point because I know you're kind of a scrapbooking expert. So I might be asking you some questions about events that you've been to and what you like and what you don't like. All right, thank you very, very much, and I will see you 1 week from tonight. Have a great rest of your week.